Welcome to this episode of the Aquarius Edge, a podcast for home aquarists just like you. Learn more about how to keep a thriving aquarium and discover ideas and tips to give your aquarium the edge. And now, over to our host, Arthur Preston.
Amazing, colourful guppies. Most of us have had these incredible little fish in our aquariums at some point in the hobby. Some of us still do, and absolutely love their colours and the vibrancy they bring to our tanks. Many of us want to make sure that our guppies have the best possible quality colour, and we want to experiment with creating new colours in our tanks. So this episode is going to share ideas with you about enhancing the colours of these amazing little fish. So let's start with what makes guppies colourful in the first place. To truly understand how to enhance guppy colours, you need to know what drives their vibrant appearances, and it really boils down to three key factors. Firstly is genetics. This is the absolute baseline. A guppy's genetic makeup sets the potential for its colours, its patterns, and the intensity of those colours and patterns. Then of course there's the environment, and it's true to say that a healthy, stress-free environment is essential for guppies to fully express their genetic potential. And lastly is diet. Nutrition plays a critical role in boosting colours and maintaining overall health. And each of these factors, the genetics, the environment, the diet, they work in harmony. It's a bit like tuning a musical instrument, and even the best violin won't sound great if it's out of tune or poorly maintained. So what about some practical tips if you're looking to breed guppies for colour and you want to enhance their colour? Here are some practical steps to get started. The most obvious is that you need to start with quality stock. So invest in guppies from reputable breeders or from reputable importers. Look for fish with vibrant, well-defined colours and healthy fins. Buying some cheap fish from a random pet shop may well lead to disappointment. Then you need to selectively breed the guppies for their colour. So you need to track which guppies produce the most colourful offspring. You can do this by pairing fish with complementary traits. For example, if one guppy has a stunning orange tail but a dull body, try pairing it with one that has a bright and vivid body colour. Don't be afraid to breed selectively. Don't be afraid to take fish out of your aquarium that don't match the requirements of your colour trait that you're trying to breed. Then of course you need to avoid over-inbreeding. It's true that line breeding intensifies certain traits, but too much inbreeding can weaken your stock. So it's important to introduce new genes periodically to maintain the, let's call it the authenticity or the strength of your line, and to avoid deformities. If you've been breeding guppies for a long time and it's the same stock you've been breeding from, and you start seeing fish that have deformed spines, their bodies look skew, then it's time to remove those fish and also to bring new genes into your aquarium. You can also experiment with crossbreeding. So once you're comfortable with what you're looking for, consider crossing different strains. For example, mixing a mosaic guppy with a snakeskin guppy can produce stunning new patterns. Just keep detailed notes so you can replicate what has worked and what hasn't worked. Understanding and enhancing guppy patterns can in fact be a game changer. You can use backdrops to highlight their patterns. If you're wanting to showcase guppies, you can put them against a plain black or a plain white background in your tank. The colours will really pop when you do that. You can also make sure that you have the correct lighting. For guppies with metallic scales, like some albino strains or metallic snakeskin and so forth, you can use LED lights with a higher Kelvin rating, about 6,500 to 10,000 Kelvin, because this stimulates natural daylight and enhances the iridescence in their scales. You can also select for unique traits. So if you're breeding, prioritize patterns that are rare in your tank, such as spotted tails or gradient color shifts. You really can create some amazing color patterns, and you can start breeding them consistently with time if you selectively breed. Obviously the environment is important to making sure that the guppy's colors truly come to life. So here are some practical ways to optimize their tank. You need to make sure they have a decent tank size, because a larger tank will reduce stress and give the guppies room to display their natural behaviors. You need to make sure your water parameters are correct. Keep the temperature at about 24 to 28 degrees Celsius, and maintain a slightly alkaline pH of about 7 to 8. Use crushed coral or a pH buffer if your water tends to be acidic. Guppies also thrive in moderately hard water, and you can use aquarium salts to enhance hardness if needed. If you want to make colours pop in your tank, use aquascaping that's going to help with this. For example, you could use a dark substrate. Black sand or gravel makes bright colours really stand out. You could also use plants with contrasting greens such as Java moss, Amazon sword or Anubias. Floating plants like water lettuce or even duckweed provide shaded areas and reduce stress. Of course, be careful with those floating plants. Duckweed in particular can take over your tank if you're not careful. Natural decor like driftwood or lava rock adds complexity and reduces open spaces where guppies may feel exposed. And now we come to nutrition, which really in many ways could be said to be the secret sauce to vibrant colours. What you feed your guppies directly affects their coloration. Make sure that you incorporate colour enhancing foods such as spirulina, astaxanthin and carotenoids. Now, spirulina is an algae. It produces blue and green hues. You can buy it in powdered form. Astaxanthin is found in foods like krill and shrimp and enhances red and oranges. And carotenoids, this is often found in flakes or pellets that are labeled as color enhancing. You can also add live or frozen foods. Daphnia and brine shrimp, for example, are like superfoods for guppies. They're packed with protein and color enhancing nutrients. And of course, then there are bloodworms. These are a great occasional treat for boosting red hues. You can also make your own food if you wanted full control of your guppy's nutrition. You can blend cooked spinach, spirulina powder, unflavored gelatin, and other ingredients to make homemade fish food. You can freeze it into cubes and use that for easy feeding. Now, I'm not going to get into how that works now. There are plenty of tutorials online, on YouTube and other places, that you can go and watch and learn how to do this for yourself. Feed small amounts of food, 2 to 3 times daily. And we all know that overfeeding not only harms water quality, but also leads to bloated and unhealthy fish. Get your nutrition right, and your guppy colours will certainly begin to stand out. Now, stress is one of the biggest enemies of vibrant guppies. Avoid overcrowding. Choose peaceful tank mates. Avoid those aggressive fish like tiger barbs or large cichlids. Instead, consider species such as neon tetras, corydorus, or even snails. You could also put shrimp with your guppies. Make sure you acclimate new fish properly. Float the bag on the water, let the temperatures match. You could, if you really wanted to, if you had high-end guppies. I know some people would do the drip acclimation method as well to avoid shocking the guppies with sudden changes in water parameters. I mentioned lighting earlier on. If you have the capacity to do this, use lights with adjustable intensity to mimic sunrise and sunset. This will reduce stress and enhance natural behaviors. It's not an essential, but it can help. For tanks with live plants, aim for full spectrum lighting that supports photosynthesis while also highlighting the fish colors. Now, there are 3 myths I want to quickly mention that have to do with the colors of guppies. And the first one is that feeding only color enhancing foods will dramatically change the guppy's colors. This in fact is not true. Genetics set the baseline. The foods you feed will boost existing colors, but they certainly can't create new ones. The second myth is that guppies' colors are fixed after they mature. That's also not true. Their colors can improve with better care and reduce stress, even in adulthood. And the third one is that mixing all guppy strains together will lead to more colorful offspring. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this. People will tell me, I've just thrown guppies together and I'm getting some amazing colors out of there, and I'm doing that because I just want to keep creating new colors. Well, if you just mix all the strains together all the time, over time you will end up with dull, mixed guppies. It's really important that even if you're going to mix your guppies together, you selectively breed them. That will create the best results for you. Now, if you want to go a little bit beyond, you could also add water additives, products like liquid vitamins or trace element supplements. They can enhance health and color. Go ahead if you want to do that. You could also experiment with different biotopes. You could replicate a natural environment, such as a South American river setup, so that you reduce stress and promote natural behaviors of the fish. At the end of the day, achieving vibrant guppy colors is about balance. Combine the right genetics, the best environment, a high-quality diet with a stress-free setup, and you'll have guppies that are the envy of any fish keeper. Well, folks, that's it for this episode, and I really want to encourage you to share your guppy pictures with me. send them via email to admin@artfishroom.co.za. That's admin@artfishroom.co.za, and I'll create a blog post that highlights your photos and your stories about guppy keeping. Let's learn from each other. At the end of the day, that's what this podcast is all about. It's about sharing ideas and strategies to get the best out of our fish, our livestock in our aquariums, and creating wonderful underwater worlds. Thank you for your time today. Please remember to subscribe on your favorite podcast app to this podcast. Share the podcast with others so that we can grow this hobby together. And I look forward to sharing with you the next time. Have a wonderful week ahead. Take care, everybody. See you next time. Bye.
That's it for this episode of the Aquarius Edge. Please consider subscribing to this podcast so that you don't miss further episodes. We would love it if you would also rate and review the podcast, as this helps make it visible to others. Until next time, keep learning and discovering, and keep finding your Aquarius Edge in this captivating and fascinating hobby.